So, we're 1 week in. It's January 8th. Do you know where your New Year's resolutions are? I know I resolved that for all of 2017, I would only eat dessert on Saturdays. And I remembered that resolution mere seconds after I took the last bite of a hellaciously delicious cookie on Tuesday, January 3rd. My bright and shining epiphanies from New Year's Day have lost some inspiration by this morning. So I'm grateful to be in the best place in the world for a confession. Nothing lasts forever. Even as we fear what lies ahead, we know that constant change is inevitable. And along with this past year's huge and small changes, I wonder if anyone here noticed a little earthquake that subtly shook even the concretized coordinates of our cosmos. Did anyone feel? While we were focused on the madness happening on the ground, something happened in the sky. Has anyone else checked in with our zodiac system lately? Even the stars, those fixed astrological roadmaps of stalwart symbols that for millennia have suggested who we are and what might be in store for us, did not escape 2016 unscathed. This is not fake news, people. Apparently, midway through last year, NASA quietly adjusted our zodiac system, adding a 13th sign. NASA states that the Earth's axis has shifted and now points in a completely different direction than it did way back when the Babylonians developed the astrological guide 3,000 years ago. Now, don't panic. NASA claims that this 13th zodiac sign has always existed, even 3,000 years ago, and that it was ignored mostly because the Babylonians already had a 12-month calendar and wanted to keep things simple. Well, that aim for simplicity has now resulted in widespread self-image questioning, as NASA has sought to right this error, adding a brand new 13th zodiac sign into our already crowded system. This has thrown the Libras into imbalance, the Leos into a questioning of strength, and the Pisces, like me, into a deep despair, which basically just feels familiar for most Pisces. Our lives, as we've known them, are lies, and it is all the Babylonians' fault. In a statement released last fall, NASA asserts that they just did the math, that the sun has always moved through 13 constellations, not 12, that even the ancient stories of the Babylonians tell of this 13 constellation, Ophiuchus, and that Ophiuchus, though never yet listed in the predictions of Teen Vogue, this 13th constellation, this star of wonder, has been waiting for us to discover it. Now, I'm not an astrology apologist, but I find this NASA scandal fascinating, not just abstractly, but in concrete, life-changing ways. See, the addition of the 13th zodiac symbol has changed the dates for the other zodiac signs, essentially meaning that many of us no longer fall under the star symbols we once thought we did. Teen Vogue is in a tizzy. But I'm excited, because all my life, I've been a Pisces, and I fit the mold that Teen Vogue lays out for me: artistic, compassionate, weak-willed. And often I've comfortably played out that story. It makes complete sense for me and asks nothing more of me. But the recently reassembled star system now places my birthday, March 5th, beneath the sign of Aries. And those born under Aries, raise your hand if you're an Aries. Not anymore. Those born under Aries are supposedly courageous, passionate, and impulsive. Suddenly, this weak-willed fish is being told, I'm supposed to be courageous and impulsive. Holy crap. If you're feeling the need to quickly Google what sign you now fall under, go ahead. I will make no judgments. This is important. This weekend's celebration of Epiphany also recalls the discovery of a new star that changes everything forever. Epiphany is one of our oldest Christian feasts, and like most good Christian feasts, we appropriated it from the pagans. We Christians have celebrated it since the 2nd century, even before the current Christmas holiday was established. Epiphany means manifestation or showing forth, a celebration of the manifestation of God in the birth of this little baby and the visit of the 3 wise men bringing him laud and presents. Even though our cute nativity sets often show the 3 wise men at the stable with all of the other characters, they're actually believed to have visited Jesus' refugee family a bit later, having followed a star that suddenly appeared in the sky, guarding them and guiding them as they approached this interruption of a child. We often call them kings or wise men, but the actual Greek word used by the original author of the Gospel of Matthew is magi, a term more akin to a group of astrologers, stargazers, interpreters of omens. These 3 late visitors to the Jesus baby shower aren't just regal gift bearers. They are serious observers of the stars, serious readers of Scripture, and serious translators of what sudden changes in our cosmos could mean for the future. Basically, when they approach Herod the Great with their findings, it doesn't go well. And they are acting as a 3-man pagan intelligence agency. Now, we can argue the historical accuracy of this scripture, and this church is the perfect place to do that. But no matter the historicity of this tale, like any really good story, its narrative and symbols connect profoundly with today's reality. So, this Epiphany Sunday, let's just take this story at face value. Let's say this story happened just as it's written here. Let's say a notoriously narcissistic leader like Herod the Great, and I'm sorry I can't call this petty Roman Empire puppet of a man Herod the Great, so I'm just going to call him the Herod from here on. The Herod goes outside his immediate court and summons 3 foreign pagan astrologers for an intelligence briefing. Let's say they don't tell him what he wants to hear. This new star disrupting their entire cosmological field is signaling the birth of a movement that will overturn the empire and change the world forever. Let's say this intelligence briefing from the 3 foreign pagans dismantles every lie on which the empire is built. Mic drop. And what does this empire puppet do? He tries to find a quick way to demolish this infant adversary before the little thing can even get a chance to grow up. Can you imagine the tweets that might have gone out from Jerusalem? Happy birthday to my #1 newborn enemy who can't even get a hotel room and thinks he'll be king. Sad love. Following this bit of text we've read today, after the Magi escape his grasp, what does the Herod do? It's a horrifying part of our Christmas story, so it's okay if you traditionally ignore it, but if you know Christmas Wrappings by Al Carmines, you know that you think the story's over and then it goes into this whole dark place. We're in the dark place right now. I think it's important that we acknowledge it today. The Herod orders what is now called the slaughter of the innocents. The systematic and indiscriminate killing of every child under 2 living anywhere near Bethlehem. A grown man, fearing the loss of his power, surrounds himself with fearful people who will, one by one, eradicate any possible enemies before they can even learn to walk. That's the choice the Herod makes. But beside the Herod's bleak choice is the inspiring choice that the Magi make. Instead of holding on to the fear, and it would be scary if this big star appeared in the sky and you'd been reading the stars all your life and you had never seen that one before. Instead of holding on to the fear, though, these learned men set out to explore, to investigate, to inspire the scientific method over the self-interested method. They bring presence of the material kind, sure, but they also bring their presence, their bodies, their interest to discover what this star and this child might actually mean. They dive headfirst into studying and observing what Epiphanies, this new interruption, this new disruption of everything they've known before, is asking them to embrace. Now, the most mysterious aspect of the Epiphany story, at least for me, comes in the last line of today's passage. You can go ahead and look at it if you want, but I'm going to read it for you. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Do you notice two curious things here? First, there are 3 magi, but they got their warning in one dream. Did they have the dream collectively? I'd like to imagine they each had the same dream at different times, but then they talked to each other. They shared stories and were amazed to find their separate epiphanies fed into a collective epiphany. But second, they escaped to their own country. And we never hear from them again, as the Herod begins to try to eradicate anything that might threaten his position. The Magi got to escape, but many others didn't, and don't, and still don't have that option. So what do we do when we can't escape our country? When we can't escape to another country? When we have to stay and pick up the pieces of our own country on the verge of at least a metaphorical, chaotic slaughter? The Herod is all around us. The hell is all around us. We are being called to move, act, watch, and listen in ways we might never have thought possible. And as dearly departed prophet Carrie Fisher said, sometimes you can only find heaven by slowly backing away from hell. The Magi backed away and escaped to their own country. We are still here. And both our zodiac systems and our political systems are in chaos. But there's a reason that all of our ancient stories show creativity erupting from chaos. Chaos is the moment when possibility is most potent, when people step out of the roles that have been prescribed for them and become artists and activists in ways they'd never before dreamt, when old identities give way to new callings. This moment of chaos is also a moment of epiphany, when we can manifest and inspire creativity within ourselves that we didn't even know was there. I'm not a Pisces anymore, but I'm also not an Aries, really. You're not just the person our empire-drowned systems have convinced you are. You're not even who you've convinced yourself you are. The zodiac is as fragile as those puppets who are feeling the short-lived rush of fresh empire power. Now, we must ask ourselves every day, who am I and who will I be? And make the choice for creativity over slaughter, for an evolving heaven over a devolving hell. Our identities are nothing more than the choices we make, one moment after another. So look for new epiphanies. Look for new stars. Look for new roads. Look for the most at risk and vulnerable and inspire them. There are more practical, immediate ways to connect and create than ever before. Those trapped in the prison of solidified self-importance seek to slaughter because they aren't inspired and they can't create. They seek to repeal and replace because they can't resolve. But right now, even in this devastation, creation is happening all around us. You see it all around us this morning. Creation is happening in this place. Creation is giving birth, and resources are being shared at a grassroots level that I have never seen in my lifetime. Look at what we did just this past week. We are creating inspiration together, not simply resistance. Creation doesn't need solidified self-importance. It simply needs to inspire a willingness to start again. Creation doesn't need to defend status. It simply needs to inspire shared responsibility. Creation doesn't slaughter. It backs up to look at the hellish big picture before diving into the next inspired choice. Resolutions aren't the lofty promises you made to yourself at the start of the year. They're the actions you inspire, choice by choice, that make you who you are constantly becoming. Our resistance will not survive if we do not continually undergird it with inspiration. So what is shaking up your stodgy star system today? Share that story. This is a table of inspired action when we share stories of our epiphanies with one another and create one dream. So now, as we gather our elements for communion, making sure everybody has something to eat and everybody has something to drink, let's each share one short current epiphany from this past week and see what manifests in this chaos. Let's go to communion.